Enjoying secrets of a sugar daddy? How about a little something extra? Here's today's dose of extra sugar with Marcus.
Hey, this is Marcus, and welcome to this segment of Extra Sugar. All right, today we've got a really good extra sugar. It's a scenario that happens a lot, and we've got a sugar daddy who's written in with a situation. We're going to comment on that. But first, hey, we put a poll on our Patreon group. It's free for anybody to vote on, whether you're a paid member or a free member. And it is about our next party opportunity. So we've identified 2 or 3 party opportunities here in the next few months. And this one is in the heat of the summer here in Arizona, but it's a really good opportunity. And I want you to go to our Patreon and vote whether it would be something you're interested in or absolutely not. Your eyelashes might melt here in Arizona in August. So go to patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast and vote on that poll if you could. And then also, too, we'd love to have you as a free member. And then we have some great membership opportunities starting at only $10 a month. And you get a lot of great benefits for that. Some of the things you get is to hear the extra sugars and full episodes before anybody else. We load those up days before we release those to the public. You get to see really fun and interesting behind-the-scenes photos, not only of the cast and crew of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, but also other members are starting to post those too. You get to be on our VIP invite list to the next party. So you'll get priority over the public. And until the end of April, you don't have a lot of time, so you want to get in on this. Profile reviews and coaching are involved at the basic level. Now we have some advanced levels that you can sign up for that will include that the rest of the year. But until the end of April 2024, you can get profile review and coaching included in the $10 category. I mean, that is as cheap as it gets. We tried to keep it very, very affordable for everybody, and I think you're going to enjoy all the extra benefits that are in the Patreon group. We've got a chat going that is really starting to heat up, and it's so interesting hearing from our supporters and members. So that also is a perk. People are actually starting to meet each other in the lifestyle from just introducing themselves on our Patreon group. So it's actually become a lot more robust than anything I ever imagined, and we definitely want to see you there. Okay, on to today's extra sugar. Now, like I said, this does happen quite a bit, so let's go over this situation that happened, and I'm going to give you my thoughts, and let's hear yours. So this sugar daddy writes, "Hey, I've been in the bowl for over a decade with 2 very successful long-term arrangements and several short-term ones. I always make it clear that I'm looking for a monthly allowance, not a PPM." Okay, so me personally, Marcus, I enjoy PPM because I just think it's cleaner. It does feel more transactional. A monthly allowance, a lot of women prefer, and men, because it does feel less transactional, but you know, we all have our preferences, and this was his. Okay, he says, about a month ago, I started talking to a potential sugar baby. We had a meet and greet dinner that went incredibly well, to the point of shutting down the restaurant. Yeah, I've done that a few times. That is a lot of fun. You just talk, and you're getting along so well, and you look up, and then they're putting up the chairs, mopping, sweeping, and you feel terrible, but those are a great meet and greets, a lot of fun. He says, we walked away agreeing that we wanted to proceed with the arrangement. A few days later, we met at a coffee shop. At this second meeting, I asked her for the amount she wanted as a monthly allowance. She gave me a number, and I agreed. As soon as we left the coffee shop, I sent her the agreed-upon allowance. We had a couple of dinners afterwards where we simply ended the evening without further ado. Last night, we went to listen to live music and then to a hotel. Afterwards, as she was driving me back to my car, she mentioned that she was not comfortable with her current allowance. Uh-oh. This has happened to me. I can feel where we're going. She expressed a preference for a weekly allowance that on a monthly basis would double what we had agreed to just 2 weeks prior. We are talking about moving from mid four figures to almost five figures. In all my years in the bowl, this has never happened to me. I've experienced situations where the economic structure has changed as a relationship progressed, but never where a sugar baby is asked to change the agreed terms only 2 weeks later. She's fairly young, and I suspect she's not very experienced in the bowl, though I can't say for sure. During the car ride last night, I told her that I would need to think about her request. I am uncomfortable with several aspects of this situation, including the sudden change so soon after agreeing on a number, and the fact that it effectively shifts the arrangement to PPM since we tend to meet weekly. I plan to tell her that she is absolutely entitled to seek what she desires, but that it is not something I am willing to provide. She needs to find another sugar daddy. Am I missing anything here? Now, he does provide an update, which I actually applaud where he went with this, and I think the outcome is exactly what was going to happen. So here's the update. I left her a voice message this morning politely saying no. I told her that a weekly for me is too transactional, something we had previously discussed, and that the new proposed allowance would be around blank amount a year, an amount I am not comfortable with. Yeah, when you annualize the PPM or the allowance and you give it to them in an annual term, sometimes it scares yourself. Like I've told a girl before that I've put on allowance, hey, that works out to $65,000 a year or $75,000 a year. I mean, that's more than a lot of people make at their job. And this is just extra spending income for them. So it kind of puts it in perspective. Some girls think my friend's getting $1,000 a meet or $1,500 a meet or $800 a meet, whatever it may be. Well, most sugar daddies can't afford meeting them very often. So that person, that girl that's doing the sugar dating, is going to have multiple sugar daddies because not a lot of people can afford to see a girl at that rate. Not in most part of the country. Now, we do have our fringes like New York and LA, Chicago that are a little bit more sometimes. But when you annualize that, it's a lot of money. Okay, he says, I said that she should not settle. That if this is what she wants, she should absolutely go find a different man to provide it. That she is intelligent and beautiful, and I absolutely do not want to hold her back. I also said that if I accepted her new offer, I would be resentful over time, and if she stayed with mine, she would become resentful. So the best thing we can do is end things. Yeah, so you were asking for advice here. I think you did exactly the right thing. Just express to them what your budget is, what you're comfortable with, and don't hold them back. I mean, there's an old saying that there's another bus in 15 minutes. I can go on any sugar dating site and go through thousands of profiles. And fortunately for me, being here in the Phoenix, Arizona area, where Arizona State University is the number one sugar baby university in America, in the world, it's very easy for us just to move on. Now, moving on and finding chemistry with somebody is a whole different story. So when you really like them, you have a good connection, the intimacy is fantastic. It's tough to let them go. But if it's not in your budget, you've got to just be upfront, honest about that, and wish them the best. And so I think that you did exactly the right thing, and let her go. And if she really, really likes you, basically she was just trying to strong arm herself into a better allowance, and you didn't call the bluff, well, she'll probably come back. Okay, he says, fast forward an hour, and I receive a voice message from her. She said that she was out with a friend yesterday, and that the friend told her that her friend was getting this weekly allowance, that the friend made her jealous, and that she reacted in that jealousy by asking me last night. She said that in reality, she didn't know if the friend was actually getting that allowance. Yeah, there's another point. We've heard numbers from girls, and you look at them, you're like, you're getting that number? They may have got that number once it's not an ongoing thing. There is something to be said about an ongoing, consistent allowance that's worth a lot more than one big allowance, and then you never see this person again because they can't afford to keep seeing you. She asked me to please reconsider, that she just got in her own head and she really likes me and doesn't want to lose me. Could we just go back to where we were? So now I'm conflicted. I do sugaring in part to avoid relationship stress. And once this genie is out of the bottle, can we really put it back in? I like her, but these are early days and I think perhaps it's better to move on. Well, at least you have a choice. It sounds like she wants to come back. I think I would give her another opportunity. It happens. They're young. They hear stories. They read stories of certain dollar amounts. And again, like I said, it's hard to find somebody that you really vibe with and you have chemistry with. These girls are not prostitutes. They are not receiving money for sexual acts and basically not turning down anyone. Our host and many of my guests, they have turned down large numbers, large PPM numbers, large monthly allowance numbers, even large yearly numbers to the millions of dollars because they didn't have chemistry with that guy. It is important that you like the person that you are in a sugar relationship with. So they find a lot of times that those people are hard to find, and if you have a good one, even though it may not be 100% of the allowance that they want, they'll stick with them and be happy with it. All right, Sugar Daddy comments, says, well, say no, and if she walks, let her walk. I haven't seen a situation in which you can roll back as if the raise request never happened. It sort of forms an inflection point. Assuming that you say no, at best it'll be stuck in the back of your mind that she only wants your money and can dull your general enjoyment of the fantasy that the sugar relationship can provide. And for her, she can be resentful that she didn't get what she wanted. In my experience, a no to a raise request effectively equals an end to the sugar relationship, which just sounds like you agree and understand. So I think that comment was before he gave the updates, but if he sticks to his gun, that's probably what's going to happen. Here's another comment from a sugar daddy. Says, envy is the thief of joy, which is such a true statement. She may have gotten it in her head that you can afford a lot more. No matter how totally and completely satisfied she was with the number starting out, if she develops the belief that she could have done better, what was satisfaction can evolve into dissatisfaction. I've had this happen more than once. It's why I step down my income and net worth on my seeking profile, and why I do my best not to flaunt my position in life and always openly demonstrate my frugal sensibility. Excellent comment. We got another sugar daddy that says, I think you should terminate things immediately. Do not give her the option to continue with the original rate. Obviously, she has decided that spending time with you is distasteful. Tell her she can keep the money you already gave her, but if she has qualms, she should donate it to charity. The purpose of this is to let her know you think she is ripping you off. Well, I think that's a little bit too harsh, but maybe that is good advice. Another sugar daddy comments. We got lots of sugar daddies coming on this one, I guess because if you've been in the sugar bowl for any amount of time, you're going to experience something similar. This guy says, she is either green or listened to some bad advice from someone she spoke to. It does not matter at this point. Lady, make a tactical error. Let her go seek that allowance she believes she should get somewhere else. What you plan to tell her is sufficient. I would not explain myself any further to her. Here's a comment from a sugar baby. She's full of shit. Sorry. She tried to squeeze more money out of you and now is panicking at losing the money you are giving her, which from what I gather, she is getting another allowance in about 2 weeks. I would be very, very cautious of taking that monthly allowance and dipping. If you do continue this, my suggestion would be to say something along the lines of, I do think continuing on with our current allowance is something I am okay with. However, I also agree that for now, breaking it up weekly is probably the best bet. We can start that in a couple weeks when your next allowance is due. Protects you and makes her eat her words. Somebody says, well, yeah, I agree with that. Even if she's new, she's either getting bad advice from real friends or online influencers. Even if you were lowballing her, 4 figures for market seems theoretically fine. It's an odd conversation to have so soon to renegotiate. Either she's had seller's remorse or she doesn't know what she wants yet. All of it spells trouble for you. If you've got better options, I'd personally move on. Plenty of fish in the sea. If you prefer to stick around and see how things go, just thread carefully when playing with fire. Another sugar daddy comments, if I was in your shoes, my friend, I would end things with her politely and move on. It's a hard lesson to learn on her part, but if she is comparing what her friend gets in compensation, then your entire agreement with her will be based on her competing with her friend and putting pressure on you to give. Each arrangement is different, and no one I have ever had has been the same. Yes, compensation in general has been similar, but the dynamics have always been different. As you say, a decade in the bowl, sorry, my friend, but you should have seen this a mile away with that many years of experience. Why waste time on convincing someone that they are pushing your boundaries? I'm going to end on this one because I agree more with this guy. Another sugar daddy says, this is why I always start with PPM and see how it all works with someone for a few months before allowance. Now you have a potential several weeks of allowance at risk, not to mention the tremendous time and effort in getting something started. Yeah, me personally, let's see, I've been in sugar dating for over 8 years, and I always start with PPM. I prefer PPM. It's clean. You have a great date. You go your way, I go mine. Let's do it again. If it's somebody that I'm really interested in, then we will work into an allowance. I wouldn't suggest anything but breaking it up into a weekly allowance. If you want to do a monthly and give it to her all up front, you're risking so much, and especially in the beginning. Dr. Charles, one of our favorite guests on our show, he said he had some experiences where he agreed on a $4,000 a month allowance and gave it to him, and they never heard from him again. And a few times that happened to him. So in the beginning, it's so new, and you just don't know each other that well. I would wait a few months, probably 4 to 6 months, before I would convert somebody to a monthly allowance. And then even if I did that, I would break it up into weekly segments. And then that way, if she gets a boyfriend, she dips, she ghosts, you guys figure out that it's not worth, you're just not compatible any longer, then you didn't happen to just give her whatever amount you were giving, let's say $5,000. You saw her one time and then she bolts, and then you're out that money. I've had that happen to me, and it's kind of frustrating. I would never want the money back, but she didn't even offer to give it back, and it was a little frustrating. Kind of jaded me from going monthly allowance any longer. And again, I didn't know her that well. We got along fine. The reason she left was because she got a boyfriend. Just things happen. They could move. There's just all kinds of things. So keep it clean. I know you don't like it to feel transactional. That kind of sucks sometimes because sugar relationships are relationships, no matter what the public thinks of them. This is not prostitution, as we've talked over and over again. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this extra sugar. And again, join us on our Patreon. I'll put a link to it at the bottom of this episode. It's also on our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, where you can share your crazy sugar dating stories. And then always we ask for a follow on Instagram. We post lots of funny stories and memes, updates about the show there also. Okay, catch a fun episode on Tuesday. It's a birthday episode. Lily and I both had a birthday, but we focused more on her. And we had a special surprise guest. She didn't quite make it in on time, and then all of a sudden she came in through Zoom, and we had lots of fun things to talk about. So you're going to want to hear that fun episode on Tuesday, or if you're a member of our Patreon, it's already loaded on there, and you can hear it right now. Okay, until next time. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed your extra sugar with Marcus. As always, visit our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, to comment or tell us your story.